People, have I got a video for y'all today. As we speak, hubby and I are driving 2 hours to Moore, Oklahoma to attend Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas, Town Hall. So today, I'm going to take y'all on the journey with me. Okay, you got 3 lanes on the turnpike. People's driving slow in the fast lane. Shit just makes me crazy. I wonder if West Tulsa's always been kind of ratty looking, or if it's just kind of fallen by the wayside. One day I was doing a video, said a little flashing mic. I did the whole damn video, then I realized that it was on mute. Speed limit's 80?
No, it's 75.
Now, one of the first things is, I have never been to a presidential candidate's town hall before. Turns out they get Secret Service detail. That's kind of intimidating. You just can't RSVP and then show up at their town hall. Oh, hell no. If you want to go to their town hall, you have to donate to their campaign. So, I gave Elizabeth Warren $1. My husband called me a Nazi sympathizer for doing that. Y'all have to remember, my husband is a veteran. So for him to be around all that socialism, he thought he needed a penicillin shot by the time we left. Things I learned is that you just don't get to line up at the microphone and take turns asking questions. At Elizabeth Warren's town hall, campaign staff hands you a number, and if your number isn't called, you don't get to ask her a question.
And then make sure it matches your number. If we call your number, we'll bring the mic to you.
And at this particular town hall in Oklahoma City, she didn't let anybody ask her questions. Being as though she wouldn't take any of my questions last night, I'm going to dissect different parts of her speech, and I'm going to bust her at a bunch of lies. Here we go.
Today, a minimum wage job in America will not keep a mama and a baby out of poverty. That is wrong, and that is why I'm in this fight. The money, it's about campaign contributions, it's about lobbying, it's about PR firms, it's about the bought and paid for experts. Money, money, money.
Now, I find it kind of ironic that she's going to sit up there and get on a soapbox about money, 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 and all the corruption in Washington, D.C., because this heifer voted to impeach Trump, and all thing he's trying to do is clean up the corruption.
And big structural change starts with rooting out corruption in Washington.
Anybody else notice a campaign slogan similarity? Trump's was, let's drain the swamp. Hers is, let's root out corruption. Funny, they're impeaching his ass for trying to drain the swamp. Wonder what they're going to do to her for trying to do something about the corruption. You know, the news coverage she got on this would have you to believe that she just packed out the house. But the truth of the matter is she was in a high school gymnasium, about the size of Skytooks. And I want to say there was maybe 800 people there. And what my husband and I caught on to is that her campaign staff started pulling people out of one section of the bleachers, putting them over across the auditorium and the other section of the bleachers to make it look like she'd really packed out the house. And the third thing I learned is that Elizabeth Warren, her campaign staff, and her supporters are some of the most bigoted people I've ever been around in my whole life. This group of people is outraged every time Trump sends a tweet out. They think it's nothing but bolstering white supremacy and hate-filled. They're outraged every time Trump does a speech because they say it bolsters white supremacy. And yet, at Elizabeth Warren's town hall, she was selling merchandise that was nothing but raging hate against Trump.
No, you gave me 5.
I'm telling.
No, you gave me the $10.
Yeah.
Right, so you give her that.
Okay.
Now that's what. So now we're even. Okay, I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
My husband and I sat in the bleachers amongst all her supporters. All these different conversations going on around us. The only thing these people cared to talk about is how much they hate Trump and his supporters. She really likes to tell this story about how she was born and raised right here in Oklahoma. And therefore, she's down with the salt of the earth type of people.
I was born and raised in Oklahoma.
The state of Oklahoma has the most federally recognized tribes this side of the Mississippi. So when she started coming up with this bullshit story that Pawpaw didn't like Mama because Mama was Indian, every Okie in the joint knew she was full of shit. Elizabeth Warren had been a member of any tribe. We know that tribal chief would have showered her with achievement awards and accolades. Ain't nobody around here claimed her. She likes to tell this story about when she was pregnant with her first child in the early 70s, that at the end of that school year, she did not get invited back to teach. She wants you to think that she personally suffered through that white male patriarchal privilege in the 70s. But the truth is, she was going back to school to get her credentials to teach special ed, and she's the one that decided that wasn't the career that she wanted. She's the one that decided she wanted to do a career change. She's the one that decided to leave education. But now that she's on a campaign run, she's got to rewrite her history so she can be a victim of something. I'm also going to include some video tips for an interview she did in 2007. Y'all can see for yourself, she full of shit.
At the end of the first year, I was visibly pregnant. And the principal did what principals did in those days. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job.
I was married at 19 and then graduated from college actually after I'd married. And my first year post graduation, I worked, it was in a public school system, but I worked with the children with disabilities. And I did that for a year. And then that summer, I actually didn't have the education courses, so I was on an emergency certificate, it was called. And I went back to graduate school and took a couple of courses in education and said, I don't think this is going to work out for me.
But I'm very proud of my brothers. I stayed close to my brothers. Like I said, when we were growing up, Daddy had a lot of different jobs, but by the time I was in middle school, all three of the boys were gone. And so it was just my mom and my daddy and me. And that's when Daddy had a heart attack.
But the part that she really likes to glaze over is that her dad worked here and there and everywhere. Her dad had multiple jobs. Her dad never made a career out of anything.
By the end of the bed is my mother in her slip and her stocking feet. And she's pacing. And she's saying, we will not lose his house. We will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. She was 50 years old. She had never worked outside the home.
Her mother decided not to work out the home. It's only when her dad had his heart attack and they had landed on Skid Row that her mother got her ass out and got a job. So the part that she leaves out is that her family's poverty is at the hands of her own parents.
That 2 cents also lets us put $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities.
She must not have got the memo that Trump's already done that.
Okay, and let's do a little more structural change. It is time for a wealth tax in America.
You know, the company that I work for is owned by a very wealthy man. He has locations all over the United States and Canada. And it's through his wealth that I have a job. It's through his wealth that he pays me a very good salary. And he also provides me with some kick-ass benefits. I wonder what I'm going to do if they tax this man out of existence. Where would they like for me to work then?
I'm saying for these huge estates, the top 1/10 1%, that your tax shouldn't just be your real estate, it should also be your stock portfolio, the diamonds that are in brand new yacht.
I personally know somebody that threatened to sue their parent because their parent was spending money, and that person concluded that their parent was just blowing through their inheritance. It didn't matter that that money was a lifetime of accumulation for that person. It didn't matter that once that person retired, they actually decided to enjoy the little bit of their money. The only thing that adult child could see was that that was money that could come to them if somebody else wasn't spending it. And that is exactly what I hear when these socialist liberals start talking about spending somebody else's money.
So there I am. I'm at home. By this time we're living in New Jersey. Moving around. So we're living in New Jersey. I'm at home. I got a little baby. Can't get a job. I gotta do something. I mean, I just gotta do something. So I will go to law school. And for people of color, even rockier and even steeper. Works great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, but not for the rest of us who see climate change bearing down upon us.
Well, folks, I guess I'll wrap my video up by saying this. After attending Elizabeth Warren's town hall meeting, she's not interested in all Americans. Her passion is liberal Americans. And if you believe in conservatism, if you practice conservatism, if you live a conservative lifestyle, she really ain't got nothing for you. She's all about somebody being a victim, and she's always about riding in that white horse so she can save somebody from themselves. She's not a candidate for me.
No, you gave me the $10. Right, so you give her that.
Okay.
Now that's what. So now we're even. Okay, I didn't. Yeah. Okay. You know I didn't do math.